Good afternoon, and this afternoon, minority MPs walk out of Ewura Aubynn swearing in over the Speaker's refusal to allow them speak before the ceremony.
For the records, cannot be part of the swearing in. Yes, we cannot be part of the swearing in. As a result, we are working on it. And this one is specific to the swearing in. Other businesses will engage in it.
And in the bulletin today, procurement breaches in Ghana's public boards and institutions hit 335.3 million in 2024 as Joy News research finds over 1.5 billion Ghana cedis have been locked up in 5 years due to irregularities. And as well, the Supreme Court this afternoon has, by a 4-1 decision, revoked the warrant on activist Kevin Taylor.
We are happy to have that decision, and our client is now a free man.
And in this bulletin, the NPP risk a divided front in 2028 unless Bawumia wins the flag bearership by a landslide to affirm his leadership. That's according to former majority leader Osei Sabonso. He also warns presidential primaries must not be reduced to a popularity contest.
I agree with that. I disagree. But of course, it's the decision of the party.
Stay with us, because in this bulletin, we also have business, sports, showbiz, and world today. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra. We're also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Please stay. Thank you for staying. You're watching News Today, and this afternoon, swearing in of Ablekuma North MP Ewura Aubynn marred by drama as NPP MPs walk out on the process. Ablekuma North has been without representation in Parliament for 7 months after a dispute. Nearly 2 weeks ago, the EC held a rerun in 19 polling stations, which returned NDC's Ewura Aubynn as the MP, defeating NPP's Nana Akua-Afriyie. The minority then decided to walk out.
I'm very sorry, and I say there is a lot of difficulty that if that is the turn of event, then we in the minority, for the records, cannot be part of the swearing in. Yes, we cannot be part of the swearing in. As a result, we are working on it. This one is specific to the swearing in. Other businesses will engage in it.
Despite this walkout, she was sworn in and she comfortably took her seat.
Say after me, I,
Aubynn Ewura,
having been elected a member of Parliament, do in the name of the Almighty God swear. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana.
As by law established.
That
I will uphold. Preserve. Protect. And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
And
that I will faithfully. And conscientiously. Discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God. Now you proceed to swear the oath of allegiance. I,
Aubynn,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana
and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana
as by law established,
that
I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana,
and
that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. So help me God.
Thank you.
Honorable members, I will now proceed to hand over to her the tools of our work. And so I have the first one being the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And the second, the standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana.
Now, beyond the walkouts, what does her swearing in mean to the work of Parliament? And our lead data and research analyst, Isaac Kofi Ajay, is here. Kofi, let's talk some politics. Yeah?
Well, some politics will come with some numbers, and that Aubynn has been sworn in, and it brings to the table the game of numbers in Parliament now. Before the rerun of the 19 polling stations, the big number we were all looking at was 184. Why? Because NDC, before the rerun, had 183 members of Parliament. And by winning Ablekuma North will mean that they will have exactly 2/3 majority of Parliament. And you can see this charts on the smart wall, which talks about the parliamentary makeup currently, where NDC is now talking about 184 members of Parliament with the swearing in of Aubynn. MPP has been reduced to 87 because of the death of the Akwetia MP. And we have still 4 independent candidates and 1 outstanding, constituency, definitely because of Akwetia. It will be interesting to see who wins Akwetia. It will be another election to also look at. But beyond
and a reminder that the 4 independents say they're happy to do business.
Absolutely, with the NDC. But the NDC actually wanted organic 2/3. They don't want any games, right? You also saw what happened in the election of the speaker in 2021. So NDC really wanted 2/3 majorities of their own. They didn't want any. Of course, they welcomed the independent candidate, but they wanted to test majority that is organic, where they all belong to the green side. But beyond that, what can the NDC do with this 184 members of Parliament? It simply means that now the NDC alone can form a quorum without the NPP or the minority side. They just need 92 members of Parliament. When it comes to passing ordinary bills, what can they do? They can do that without the minority. 138 members of Parliament, if they're able to bring all of them into Parliament, they can pass ordinary bills without the minority. Constitutional amendment, very, very important. Already the President has set up a Constitutional Review Committee who are currently working. When that comes to the table in terms of approval, the NDC can do that without the minority because they need 184, and currently they have that number to do that sort of business. But these are some of the things that they can do. They can actually impeach the president, but of course they will not do that because it's their own darling boy who is the president. Amend non-entrenched constitutional provisions in the Constitution. They can do that. Approve, extend a state of emergency. That the NDC can do that without the minority, and then also override a presidential veto on bills. I doubt they will do that, the first and the second. But it's interesting that the big number that we're all looking at, the swearing in of Ewura Aubynn makes it 184 for the NDC, and they can do all of this without the minority.
The numbers in Parliament is not strange since the Fourth Republic, but it is the majority, the two-thirds majority, that makes it quite novel.
Absolutely, expect more analysis on pause.
That's so good. Please stay with me. But before we go to the next story, Dr. Asante, political scientist, just joined me via phone. Doc, thank you for your attention this afternoon. So in Parliament, it's not the first time we've seen the minority stage a walkout. Frank Anodompre indicated that, well, for the parliamentary business today, they will not walk out. But for the swearing in, it's exactly why they are walking out. Is this something you anticipated? Are you surprised, and what are the implications?
Not surprised. It is normal because the NPP did serve notice that they were not going to contest for the election. But later we saw the lady going to contest, and the matters arising, we all know. But what they've done, they want to re-emphasize the position that they were not part and parcel of that exercise that took place a few days ago at Aubynn, and that they will not countenance that. And that is the expression that we are seeing on the floor of Parliament.
But if they stage a walkout, what does it matter?
Oh, it doesn't matter. The majority will be able to swear in, and that is exactly what they've done, and it's legitimate. Nothing will change it, and that is, for now, it is what it is.
What would you say about the concern they raised? They said that they wanted to address before the swearing in. If the Speaker allowed that, what would it matter as well?
Sometime in Parliament, as part of the tactics, and that, yes, you table something, you want a response, and the people on the other side will oppose and all that. But all that you are looking for is that you have your way, and then whoever wants to have his say, you can have it. The majority will always how it is. Once they get that, any other comes second and unimportant.
Finally, I mean, it's not the first time we have seen a particular constituency not being represented in Parliament. This one for 7 months, at least with the same government in power. Does it mean that they have lost genuinely part of policy-making decision in Parliament, and that can she make up for the lost months, or she just has to proceed?
Time past can never be recouped, but what you can do is to make amends towards the future. They will be able to do a lot. In the sense, it is more interesting in the sense that if you look at Ewura Aubynn, her party is in government. So whatever they've lost in terms of development, in terms of even policy, you can't say much because it is her party which is in government. So for policy, I'm not sure they've lost anything. But for the constituency development, obviously, there will be some missing link. But I can say without fear of contradiction that because they won the seat, and this is the first time when they have won like that, all that they are going to do is to marshal resources and fill the vacuum so that the people will not have a sense that they've lost out.
Okay.
No. They would do so as to make the party attractive there so that the next election, he or any other person representing NDC can be retained.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Asante. Now, away from Parliament, let's talk some data, especially from the Auditor General's report. Now, fresh data from the 2024 Auditor General's report puts procurement breaches involving public boards and institutions at a staggering 335.3 million, making more than 500% increase compared to the previous year. Now, Joy News Research computation further revealed that over the past 4 years, procurement breaches of Ghana's public procurement laws have cost the country more than 1.5 billion. Other findings expose deepening losses or lapses in public sector accountability and non-compliance with procurement irregularities. Lead data and research analyst Isaac Kofi, again, still in the studio, to help us understand this data properly. Kofi, what's the data telling us?
Well, I mean, when you talk about procurement irregularities, we are simply talking about procurement that were done not in alignment with the Public Procurement Act or the procurement laws. And when the Auditor General put out that data, what we try to do is to understand how much we may have lost or how much has actually been locked up in terms of procurement irregularities in a span of 20 years. So what we did was to look at the data from 2020 to 2024 and try and understand how much cumulative amount, 1.58 billion, roughly 1.6 billion Ghana cedis is what we are talking about in terms of procurement breaches in the 2025 Auditor General's report that was released. If you look at it between 2020 and 2024. So what we did was to actually break this down.
Right.
How did we get to 1.6 billion? Remember in 2020 during the COVID period, procurement breaches became a big deal because we recorded almost 800 and somewhere 50 million Ghana cedis. That's roughly about 846.13 million Ghana cedis in 2020. Then we saw a big decrease to 306 million Ghana cedis in 2021, and then significant again reduction to 42.71 million Ghana cedis. And in 2023, we saw the best record or the best number we have ever recorded in the span of 5 years. 53.73 million Ghana cedis was the procurement breaches or irregularities in that year. Then, if I just look at it, from 53.7 million Ghana cedis, we are now talking about 335.7 million Ghana cedis. That's roughly about $32 million in procurement breaches, where procurement things that were bought without proper procurement regulation and all of that. So, in terms of these, irregularities, if you look at it on outstanding debts, loans, and recoverables, irregularities, we are talking about it increasing by more than 1% or more than one, somewhere around 2 times in terms of the percentage increment between just 2023 and 2024.
Okay, Kofi, English, the loan recoverable.
Yeah. These are, if you go away from procurement and try to do the overall 18.4 billion Ghana cedis irregularities, the side that came from loans and recoverables actually went up by 1.5 times if you compare it to 2023.
Okay.
If you do same for procurement, which we are currently analyzing, I just wanted you to look at this. The bigger number in there was the loans because it was about more than 12 billion Ghana cedis out of the 18 billion. But it just went up by 1.5 times. In terms of procurement, if you compare the 53 million Ghana cedis to the 335 million Ghana cedis, we are talking about it increasing by more than 6 times the value we recorded in 2023. And in fact, the reason why this is important is that there are other irregularities like cash that went up by more than 581 times simply because of a certain state-owned enterprise called ECG.
Right.
You go on the side of procurement, the same ECG was mentioned, where, according to the Auditor General, ECG paid $17 million more for certain items that they could have just ordered from direct manufacturers. They decided to use local suppliers to do those procurements.
Shouldn't that be easy? Shouldn't that be affordable? Local suppliers than importing from direct
manufacturers. And according to the Auditor General, when they did the math, if ECG had gone ahead to order those, do those procurements with the direct manufacturers, they would have incurred a lesser price. Okay. But ECG decided to go with local manufacturers and again here, procurement interest. And according to the Auditor General, ECG incurred $17 million more. That's about, around that time, 225 million Ghana cedis more of the original price they would have paid if they had ordered those items from the original manufacturer. In fact, that makes ECG one of the biggest contributors to the procurement breaches we saw in 2023. And not just procurement, but if you go on the cash side, they account for more than 50% of the amount that was recorded in 2024.
Thank you, Kofi. That's some good eye-opening and a better understanding. Now, we've got Collins Agyemansapon, and he is a procurement expert and former president of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply. Thank you for joining us this afternoon via Zoom. Now, let's start from the beginning. Now, what is, in your expert's view, accounting for this 500% surge in procurement breaches?
Some of us, we've taken our time going through the Auditor General's report every year. And one time I was speaking, I said that when you pick the Auditor General's report every year, the English construction is the same when it comes to the procurement irregularities. The English construction is the same, but the breaches, the amount, they just change the amount. Why am I saying that? It means that it's been with us for over 10 years, or for the age that the Procurement Act had been with us. Every election year, you get such a hike in the procurement irregularity. So for me, I'm not shocked, I'm not surprised that 2024, it went up.
But what, in your findings, in election years, in your findings, what do you think has been accounting for that? Spending,
and everybody want to make a lot of money to go and do election. All the politicians, how do they make money to win their elections? It's through procurement. It's been there. Again, there's also this issue. How many procurement breaches that have been unearthed by Public Accounts Committee in Parliament that had been prosecuted? And even if it is prosecuted, what is happening to those who are breaching the procurement practice in the country? Even as at yesterday, PPA issued a caution statement that people are now using even the single source. They won't go for public procurement authorities approval. They will break it, and later they will write back to PPA for them to give them ratification.
Do I hear you say that? Do I hear you say that this will continue to happen if we do not prosecute persons who are involved in this?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's good to know that you have studied the Auditor General report yearly. In your estimation, the data now shows 1.5 billion in procurement breaches for 5 years. In your estimation, how much of this could have been avoided if we adhered to maybe stricter enforcement and other things that are required when you're procuring?
All right. One, we need to have our practicing bill passed in Parliament so that we, the professionals, we can check our own selves. We, the professionals, we can take licenses, practicing license from our own selves, meaning the guys, our guys that are joining the politicians to break the procurement law. But now we do not have any power to go and withdraw anybody's license. However, the current administration of, I'm talking about the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, we are still in Parliament, struggling to see whether our practicing bill will be passed for us.
Again, do I hear you say that your own members are the ones helping and aiding the politicians to do this?
Technically, I would say we are technical people. We know how to go around the law. We've been writing for the procurement people. We are the same people that will do the evaluation and all that. Are you getting the point? So we are also liable. However, I mean, the fitter knows a car better than you that you go and buy and drive, right? So now we need a law to regulate ourselves. That's one. Two, we do not train ourselves. Even some of us are in training to get our own procurement people, getting their entities approving for them to be trained. Other professions, they do what is continuous professional development, right? But the procurement people, they struggle before they get their bosses approving for them to be trained. And the world is what? Revolving. It is growing, okay?
Do you think you need another law or you need enforcement? Because the Public Procurement Authority already is guided by laws. How much law would an institution need?
No, I'm not saying we need another law. The law is good, but I'm talking of regulating the practitioners.
Okay.
Doctors, lawyers, engineers, they all have their practicing laws that they can sack, okay? They can take your license from you.
Okay.
If a doctor does something, they can just withdraw. But we are yet to get that. But we have a bill that is in the Parliament that will be passed, but we are waiting, we are struggling to pass it. So that's one. And I must say that now, procurement practice is galamsey in suit. So I want the media to, you need to come here. I think Manasseh and Co, they were doing well. Let's talk about the infractions.
Okay.
Let's talk about the irregularities. Let's talk about them so that people will stop. And I like the way people are now even going on strike because of galamsey. Procurement practice is also galamsey in suit, and we have to be interested in making things right for us.
Thank you so much.
Look at the amount.
Yeah, quite a huge one. Thank you for joining us today. Now, away from procurement and the Auditor General's report, the Supreme Court, by a majority in a 4-1 decision, threw out an arrest warrant against social commentator and activist Kevin Taylor. The warrant was due to a contempt summons issued by Justice Taylor, then sitting as a High Court judge, over comments made by Kevin Taylor on his online program.
We are happy to have that decision, and our client is now a free man.
There was an issue about why it took you that long time before eventually having this done today.
Yeah, the authorities are clear that when the decision is a nullity, it can be quashed anytime. So there's even the case of Cable Metal versus Barclays Bank, where the decision was quashed 9 years on.
Parliamentary and legal affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us via Zoom for more on this. Kweku, now let's start with a background of how all of this started.
Well, that was in 2020 when Kelvin Taylor on his show did make some comments against Justice Eric Chebafo, who then was conducting a trial involving former NCA officials under that erstwhile John Mahama government over that corruption case that was going on. Kevin Taylor made an allegation that Justice Eric Chebafo had been promoted to the Court of Appeal at the time because of certain bad judgments he was giving in court to favor the NPP administration at the time, and also because he wanted to seek more favors. This is commentary that the judge took issues with, and then invited Mr. Taylor to come and defend why he should not be convicted for contempt. And then a bench warrant was subsequently issued for his arrest. But because at the time Kevin Taylor was not in the country, and he has always not been in the country up until this case, he was not arrested, he was not detained to face these criminal contempt charges at the High Court. Kevin Taylor, 4 years on, took issues with this and then went to the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to quash that bench warrant issued against him because he said it was devoid of any legal reasoning. And so this morning, the Supreme Court has issued its judgment, and in a 4-1 majority decision, they have decided that that bench warrant be quashed, and they have agreed essentially with the legal arguments that were made by Kevin Taylor on that matter. And so that is the antecedent of this issue. From January 2020 to July 2025, Kevin Taylor can now come to Ghana without hiding because the bench warrant that would have seen to his arrest is no longer in effect.
All right, thank you, Kweku. It surely must be a good day for Kevin Taylor in court. Now, away from the court, let's do some New Patriotic Party news. As the New Patriotic Party begins its post-2024 rebuild, former Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu says Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is the clear favorite to win the flag bearership, but warns he must do so emphatically to unite the party ahead of the 2028 elections. Speaking on PM Express with Evans Mensah, he noted that crossing the 70% mark would be key to convincing the party's rank and file of Bawumia's leadership strength, especially after a divisive internal contest with internal cracks still visible. The NPP is banking on a clear mandate to rebuild momentum and reassert its electoral appeal ahead of the 2028 elections.
I don't blink an eye over that. I think that he has what it takes
to cross 50+1, regardless of how many people join the race.
As I said, he's a man of the moment, and regardless of whatever anybody does, I believe that he will still emerge. I want a situation where he'll be able to garner more than the percentage he garnered the previous time, and perhaps attain close to about 70%. If he does that, uniting the party behind him will not be difficult.
If he doesn't?
If he doesn't and wins by the 50+1 that we are even talking
barely
about.
crosses the line.
Yes. Then it gives the impression that, he's not carrying the entire party behind him.
Did Akufo-Addo support him in last year?
He was the president and he was his vice president.
So did he support him?
I want to believe so, but it's difficult for me to really state that case. I want to believe.
Well, what's difficult about it? You were Minister for Parliamentary Affairs.
Yes, he never told me that. He never told me that. And he never told this at Cabinet. At Cabinet, he was always insistent that anybody who emerged victorious, he was going to support.
Yeah.
And he didn't say so on one occasion. On at least the meetings that I attended, because there were a couple of meetings in the election year that I couldn't attend because of our schedule in Parliament. But those ones that I attended, on at least 4 different occasions, he made this statement.
Former Majority Leader Asante Mensah has also cautioned the NPP against turning its presidential primaries into a mere contest of popularity or basic eligibility. He emphasized that the stakes for both the NPP and Ghana are too high for what he described as, quote, superficial approach, unquote, to candidate selection. His comments came in response to concerns that the party's limited expansion of its electoral college may have inadvertently increased the rise of monetization in the primaries. Although the system has grown compared to previous structures, it still provides room for well-funded aspirants to target delegates and potentially sway outcomes, the host observed.
Okay. Yes, you see, in 2009, I, as the main proponent of that amendment, proposed that the number should even be 3. And the reason why we made that proposal was that, you see, in any political party, you have 3 strands. In a political party, we may have the hawks, we may have the conservatives, then we may have the moderates. So in any political party, you have these 3 segments. I wanted our discourse in the party to really relate to these matters, so that we move away from personality cults building in the party. Unfortunately, when it came to effecting the amendment, on the spur of the moment, Dan Boche, who at the time was that the General Secretary? I think he had left the seat. He was the one who started the momentum. Oh, let me associate myself with my chairman, my regional chairman. He was the one who started the movement to go against that proposal and rather increase it to 5, which is what found expression in the Constitution. Today, people are saying, let's do away with it. In principle, I disagree. And I thought that if we are going back, then there's no need to now say that, then if nobody out of maybe the number garners more than 50+1, then we do a second round involving the first 2. In that regard, then we'll say that the first past post. If you're allowing for as many as possible to enter the fray, it's going to be a prodigal waste of our time. And the most popular at the time who emerges then should be the person to be crowned. You don't want a situation where somebody garners about 45%, somebody is in a distant second, garners about 10%, the rest of them are struggling to have 2-3%, and they all come together to undo the one who has the popularity. They gang up against him.
Because he didn't cross 50.
Because he didn't cross 50. I disagree with that. I disagree. But of course, it's the decision of the party. It's attracted, should I say, consensual approval. So I should stick by it for the time being. But in principle, I disagree. But that is the decision of the party.
Away from the NPP, there are growing calls for the enforcement of the Real Estate Agency Act 2020 as more rent seekers fall victim to fraudulent agents. The law, largely dormant since its passage, requires all agents to be licensed. Anyone operating without a license commits a criminal offense and faces a fine of at least 5,000 penalty units or 5 to 10 years in prison, or both. We'll hear from the Rent Control Department shortly, but first, just months to his wedding, Bright Ewusi thought he had found the perfect home, a modest 2-bedroom to start life. With his bride, he paid 19,500 Ghana cedis to a rental agent, and a man introduced as the landlord. But when it was time to move in, Bryce discovered the painful truth. His new home was actually a movie house. Noella Karen Yale has more.
I'm not a man, but most men preparing to get married will tell you that one of the first things they want to secure is a home, a place to start life with your partners. Now imagine diligently saving up to 19,500 Ghana cedis, only to be swindled by the very people you trusted to give you that home. Now that's the story of Bright Ewusi.
It began with hope. Bright Ewusi, a hard-working young man, had saved diligently to secure a new beginning with his girlfriend.
Around that time, I was about getting married. I was preparing to get married, and then by then I was living in a chamber and hall. So I went online. I saw this 2-bedroom apartment at the Achimota area. The guy I got in contact with was the agent. The apartment was going for a 2,000, and then I asked for a reduction of 1,500. So the agent told me that I can come and then view the apartment. Okay.
The agent first took Bright to inspect the 2-bedroom apartment. It seemed perfect, clean, well kept, just what he wanted.
It was a story building with people in the house. Okay. And when I was entering the house, I saw some caretaker at the entrance of the apartment. I even greeted him. Then I think my apartment was upstairs. So the agent said that the owner of the apartment does not live there. He lives at North Kanishin. So it means that if I want to make payment, we would have to go and meet the landlord. Then I can make a payment.
Once Bright expressed interest, the agent offered to introduce him to the supposed landlord at his residence.
The man comes across as a very, very responsible man. Very responsible. He was wearing a blue t-shirt with a trowel, with a shoe, and he had a coat with Bible.
As expected, the meeting took place, but under rather unusual circumstances. In total, Bright paid 18,000 Ghana cedis advance payment, plus 1,500 Ghana cedis for air conditioners to be fixed. The deal was done, or so he thought.
He's supposed to give me my tenancy agreement, but I have to go, come the next day, and then come for the tenancy agreement because I can see he's in a rush. I actually gave him cash.
Okay.
So I made the payments. He gave me a receipt. They moved just when...
Right after collecting the money?
Right after collecting the money, they moved on a very top speed.
Now joining us via phone on more on this is PRO of the Rent Control Department, Emmanuel Hove Bosu. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Now, first of all, currently in Ghana, what is the Real Estate Agency Act and why is it not being fully enforced? Can you hear me? And good afternoon for joining us today. Let's start maybe whether currently, how are you regulating the agents in this country?
Okay, so I'm speaking as a head of PR for the Rent Control Department. Fortunately for us, there is a Real Estate Agency Council that was born out of Real Estate Agency Act 220. That is Act 1047. This council is also under the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources. So we are assisted, if I should call.
Okay.
This law was passed in 2020, as is indicated, and a council and a board was set up during the last administration. They started putting their things together to have a full implementation of this law or this act. But unfortunately, they couldn't finish. So a new board and a new CEO has been set up to make sure the full implementation of this Act 1047. So this is where we are now, as far as the regulation of agents and brokers are concerned.
And so, if I understand you, this act would only have been enforced by this commission that you say was born out of your agency. Is this it?
Yes, so they are responsible for the implementation of this Real Estate Agency Act. So the head, as has been enshrined in the Act, is the Chief Executive Officer of the Real Estate Agency Council.
Okay.
So just as I mentioned, they are putting their things in order. They've started meeting stakeholders so that they can buy their input for the implementation of this Real Estate Agency Act.
Confirm to me that indeed this would be after 5 years since it was set up?
Yes, so the law was passed in 2020, just as it's been indicated on the Act.
Okay. And in this 5 years, what immediate steps has the rent control been taking to at least protect rent seekers like my friend Bright here?
Yes, so before this law was passed, we were using the Rent Act, which is the 1963 Act, the Act 220. And in this Act, it recognizes the duties or the functions of agents in particular. What is in the Act, the Rent Act, is the fees and charges that they do. And the law, that is the Act 220 Act, prescribes only 5% of the services that they render. So if a landlord contracts you to go and look for somebody to come and dwell or live in his premises, after paying the rent advance, the landlord is expected to give you 5% of the rent advance that you issue. It's not in our law that you charge 10% from the tenant and charge 10% from the landlord, and even go ahead and be charging what they call moving fees. So these are contrary to the Act. So without the implementation of the Real Estate Agency Act, the Rent Act is also in a way supposed to guide and regulate these agents. So doing this offends the law, that is the Act 220.
Okay.
And in that, you can be laid before a magistrate for any punishment to be meted on you.
And this
so without the Real Estate Agency Act, the Rent Act is in a way also regulating them.
Okay, this is specifically...
Tenant or any prospective tenant who has gone under any of these dubious things can report to us. If it amounts to a fraud issue, then the first point of call is the police officer or the police station.
Which then will be charged under the Criminal and Offences Act. If it doesn't fall under your purview particularly, if it's outside of the 5%, 10%, and it still constitutes a criminal act, if you report to the police, then they'll charge them under the Criminal and Offences Act. Is that it?
Exactly. So any offense that goes beyond the act should be first, if it's a criminal issue, the police has to hold it first, and then they transfer the rental aspect of the issue to us for us to deal with it, while they keep the criminal aspect and deal with it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for starting this conversation with us here on News Today. We definitely will revisit this conversation in our subsequent bulletins, sir. You're watching News Today. The Joy News EcoBank Habitat's first second mini clinic comes off at Tema EcoBank office from the 25th to the 27th day of July. Make sure you're a part of it. Do stay with us for business.
Welcome back to Business here on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. The government has reaffirmed its commitment to allocate 25% of the District Assembly Common Fund towards the design and construction of 24-hour economy model markets across the country. This initiative aimed at boosting local-level commercial activity is expected to expand trading opportunities for small businesses, increase productivity, and drive inclusive economic growth. Speaking at the opening session of the Evidence of Action Conference and Exhibition, the Minister for Local Government, Sanitation and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, highlighted the importance of using evidence-based research in policymaking to ensure that such projects are effectively targeted and deliver meaningful impact.
Clearly, Evidence to Action Conference is being held for about 3 days. And I took the opportunity, being the keynote speaker, to speak on some of the government interventions. The government of the President of the Republic is doing a reset agenda where he has directed from Cabinet that we must send 80% of DACF to all metropolitan municipal and district assemblies. Based on that, the monies they used to get in a year, they are getting it in the quarter. And there are clear guidelines where we are going to champion the 24-hour economy market. Every ministry is taking part of it, but we are implementing it at the sub-district level. So because of that, we have chosen 24-hour economy market, where 25% of the 80% being given to them is going to be used on that. And you have to build a market that can operate 24/7. So when we come to a university like this, we can site 1 year. It will have a pharmacy, it will have a police station, fire station, a banking hall, all the facilities will be there where it can operate 24/7. And that's what we call the 24-hour economy market.
Ghana is expected to harvest its first bunch of acerola fruit in the next 3 years, following the cultivation of the cherry-like fruit at Esumegja, a farming community in the Bekwai municipality of the Ashanti region. We have more of this and business update at 1 p.m. on the marketplace. My name is Winston Taki. Up next is Sports.
We're bringing sports now on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. ARB Apex Bank, they are saying that this year's Joy Sports Invitational Tournament is one that they are coming in to walk away with all the medals on the table. According to the MD, other participating companies should not underrate them.
Hi everyone, this is ARB Apex Bank and we are Apex is the mini central bank for all your 147 rural and community banks in Ghana. Do you know what that means? We are backed by over 8 million customers. Come night August, we are bringing our A game to the Joy Sports Tournament at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I say Apex is back to show you again, I mean they are back back with great results. Kindly expect us. We are coming with the heat with volleyball, table tennis, basketball, soccer, and chess. We are back bigger and stronger. Expect us. Be there to recognize our glory. Be there to witness our glory.
Last year, we won 4 medals and 1 trophy. This indicates to you that we are the best among them. On the 9th of August 2025, anticipate the best from Apex Bank. I've grown it from without any doubt. Anticipate with us, AIB Apex Bank, together for what is our name? What is our name?
And we'll have more of that on Prime later tonight. MFR is standing by with the rest of the news.
Thank you, Muftau. And in World Today, the World Health Organization says Israel's ground offensive in central Gaza has compromised its efforts to continue working after 8 facilities came under attack. The UN agency accused Israeli forces of attacking a building housing its staff and their families in the city on Monday and mistreating those sheltering there. Its main warehouse was also attacked and destroyed. The Israeli military has not yet commented. The UN said on Monday it was receiving reports of malnourished people arriving in clinics and hospitals in extremely poor health, while the Hamas-run health ministry said 19 people had died from malnutrition since Saturday. Time now for Showbiz, and Lois is here.
My name is Lois Shaladevi, and it is time for Showbiz. Let's get into the stories. Now, hundreds of young Christians gathered at Bethany Methodist Church in Jolu for Explore 2025, an annual youth evangelism event that combines powerful worship, international discipleship, and impactful community engagement. The night's highlight was a spirit-filled performance by renowned gospel musician Ohima Mercy, who led the congregation in an unforgettable session of praise and worship. Nicholas Ekoyamwa has more.
It was a moment of deep worship, praise, and revival as young believers from across Jowulu gathered for Explore 2025 at the Bethany Methodist Church. Organized by the Bethany Methodist Youth Fellowship, the program now in its 11th year seeks to build spiritual maturity among the youth and strengthen their walk with Christ. This year's theme, Growing into Christian Maturity, taken from Ephesians chapter 4 verse 15, was at the heart of every song, prayer, and word shared throughout the night. Here is chairperson of the Jowulu Methodist Youth Fellowship, Anita Frimpong.
What we do is that every year, the youth will lead the church in a time of worship, praise, and prayers as well. And then we renew our commitments to the Lord through this program. We have a lot of young people who are not even Christians coming here, and then we believe that as they come here, they encounter Christ in any way that they can. And then the process from this also goes into our prison evangelism. So every year and every quarter we visit prisons around us, and then a maximum prison. It could be in Sanwem or Ankafo. So the process from this program goes to support the inmates as we fellowship and as we share with them, and then we make a donation as well.
A major highlight was gospel musician Ohima Mercy, who led worship with passion and power, connecting deeply with the crowd and leaving the auditorium charged with praise.
Well, and that is all for Showbiz. My name is Lois Lademi.
And that'll be all for the news as well. Stay for Market, please.